Okay.
There's no laughing.
Okay, sorry.
All right, so welcome to another episode of Between Sets and Snacks. Today we have Malik Harris as our guest. Malik is a certified athletic trainer. He has his master's in exercise science. He is certified as a personal trainer and has been for the last 6 years, and has competed in track and field at the collegiate level as well as competes in powerlifting. And Malik's current specialization is in training the general populace. So Malik, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Happy to
Malik.
have you.
Thank you for having me, boys. Thank you for having me. How y'all doing?
Stay hydrated.
No alcohol for Lent this year. That's
Yes.
my.
There we go. There we
my
go.
so
a great
here's
call.
here's my Virgin Long Island.
Yeah. That was Joey's nickname in high school. All right, go
Well,
ahead,
listen,
Joey.
I mean,
Yeah.
Queens is a little different than Long Island, but it's okay.
Okay.
But Malik, I have to ask you right off the bat, what is your favorite snack?
Oh man,
Take your time.
Let's do top three.
You can do
top
top
three.
three, yeah.
I gotta go white cheddar Cheez-Its.
Okay.
Snack.
Yes.
I also
Sorry. I thought you were talking to me.
I've very recently gotten into hummus, red pepper hummus. I'm sorry.
That's 2 for 2 right there.
What?
Yeah.
What did I
Blaine,
do?
Blaine said the same thing.
Everyone likes hummus now.
Red pepper hummus smacks.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
Last one, a little less healthy. Favorite snack? Oh boy. All right. So there are these Hershey's Kisses. I'm gonna bring one into the camera right now that you only get around holiday time. That
I thought you were actually going to kiss the camera.
Malik, you're our little Hershey kiss.
Well, I think I'd be more of the classic Hershey's Kiss, but this one's a little white and red stripe here, so I don't match quite as much.
That's like me.
Exactly. There you go. It kinda
This is already going off the rails.
looks like candy. But yeah, they're white chocolate peppermint. 10 out of 10. If you're into that.
Hey,
Yeah, I'm not a white chocolate guy, which is ironic.
It's kind of funny because I am.
Yeah.
Hey yo. I like all chocolate.
you know, it's funny, Malik, when Kenny was telling me like your credentials, because I just know you as Malik. I don't know you as like the professional
The
person.
professional.
Kenny was like he's certified in like athletic training, and I was like, all right, what does that mean? So I want to ask you, what does it mean to be certified in athletic training?
It's actually funny. I'm not a huge fan of the name athletic training because of the connotation of both of the words athletic and training, which is, if you don't really know what the profession entails, you would think we're doing more of what a personal trainer or a strength and conditioning coach does. But an athletic trainer is an allied healthcare professional that requires a very specific education, and we are trained as first responders in crisis situations, in particular in athletic situations like injuries on a football field, wrestling matches, basketball games, you name it. But our primary responsibilities entailed injury prevention, first response. There's a little bit of overlap with conditioning, but we also do a lot of rehab-focused exercise with our athletes. So should someone be dealing with an injury, our job is to get them back on the field in lockstep with the personal trainers, physical therapists, strength and conditioning staff, team doctors, you name it, whoever the setting you've got on staff. That was my primary responsibility as an athletic trainer. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, I guess if you're doing all that, I guess you have to boil it down into 2 words. I guess athletic training will be okay.
I think
I
you
think
put that perfectly.
athletic therapist might even be a better name for me personally.
Ooh.
You keep the same credentials, and our job is a lot more therapeutic than training. So that's that.
1,000%.
Wow.
That's that.
That's something also as an athletic trainer, that's something that I've had to deal with my entire career is kind of being misidentified. People really don't understand what it is that you do. And they think, oh, okay, you train athletes. And it's like, that's not at all what I do. It's more under the umbrella of sports medicine, where we act more of, like you said, first responders. So it's a lot of misconceptions surrounding our field of practice. So I think you put that really nicely.
I think that misconception allows a lot of athletic trainers to go underpaid, which I think is a huge problem in that field.
Say it again for the people in the back.
Clip that, Kenny.
Clip it.
Oh my god.
Unfortunately, I feel like it also like gets people away from the field of athletic training because you almost feel underappreciated and also undervalued, underutilized. So like when I worked within the clinical setting, people kind of didn't necessarily know where I fit, and so I was dramatically underutilized the entire time I was there. When it's like my knowledge, my education is so expansive, but it's kind of how do you spread that message? How do you get that across without carrying your resume with you, carrying your resume around with you at all times? It's like
This is like that meme. You guys ever seen that meme where like the guy is at a party and he's leaning up against the wall and he's like, they don't know.
they don't know.
Yes, that's how we feel 24 hours a day. And I think the hardest part about my setting, I worked at a high school setting where I was the only trained medical professional at that entire facility most of the time, except football game day, there was a paramedic on tap. So as the only medical professional, I shouldn't be answering to anyone when it comes to medical decisions that I had to make on a day-to-day basis. I mean, even simple stuff, athlete sprains an ankle. As an athletic trainer, our first thing to do is get ice, compression, and elevation onto that ankle. And something as small as that, I had to argue with the coach. Coach says, hey, you need to put his foot in an ice bucket. I said, no, coach, we need elevation and compression. That's going to help get that swelling out a lot quicker. He says, no, I've been doing this 20 years. He needs an ice bucket. And I've been like, coach, you've been doing it wrong for 20 years. He needs compression. And so it's little stuff like that, but it felt like every single decision I had to answer to somebody else. And on the more serious note, I had an athlete tear an ACL. Tear an ACL, wide receiver. I'm like, all right, he doesn't need to be playing. Duh. Coach is like, no, get him a brace. He's a senior. He needs to earn a scholarship. We'll get him a brace and he can go. I'm like, coach, there's not a brace in the world that's going to keep that knee from buckling and shuckling and sliding all over the place. And he's going to wear down his meniscus. He's going to be arthritic by the time he's 30, if we allow that to happen. And I tried to spell that out as plainly as possible. Keep in mind, I'm also 21, 22 at the time. So I didn't have any beard. So
it's coming nicely.
Here's this 5'5", smooth skin, no beard, fresh out of college guy trying to tell this 40-plus-year-old coach that's been doing it for 20 years, hey, I don't think this guy should be playing. He's like, yeah, he needs to be playing. And it's nothing I can do. So obviously he didn't make it the whole year. And he was 18 years old with arthritis in his knee.
Wow. It's like that one movie, Varsity Blues. John Voight just shooting up kids in the locker room. Get back out there.
But that is the culture surrounding small town football, where that is life. And you're not going to have, like you said, a 21-year-old kid coming in and saying, hey, this is the way that things need to be done.
Yeah.
So you have these people with these fixed mindsets of this is the way it's always been done, and I'm not going to have you come in here and tell me what's going on. Because they don't have to deal with these kids 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line when everything is shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, can you play for me? Can you finish this season? And then you're disposable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the unfortunate truth. And I think that sports medicine itself has come a long way as far as the education to the coaches, as far as the health of the athletes first. And it's kind of crazy when you think back not too long ago, maybe 10 years ago, to the conditions that a lot of athletes would perform under. Look at concussions and how far that's come, and unfortunately it took like that major lawsuit of the NFL before we got to that point. But it's like you have these people that would get concussion-sized injuries during a game. Coach would be like, shake it off, get back out there, and that was just a part of the culture.
How it went.
Yeah.
How many
So
times
there's a lot of education needed now.
How many times you heard a kid say like, "Hey, I don't even remember that game last night because I played the rest with a real concussion." I'm like, "Yeah, you could have died."
Yeah, that's crazy
and it's
because
serious.
yeah, I was gonna say like both of you guys have athletic backgrounds. You know, you both were athletes in high school. Kenny was a lacrosse guy. Malik obviously track and field. Do you guys think that because you were athletes, maybe it sort of helped you, especially in the early portion of your career where you were dealing with high school students? And like, I see myself in you. Like, I wouldn't want someone to put me back out there. Like, what was it like, seeing yourself back in college, and here you are, like, diagnosing them and trying to help them out?
Go ahead,
Man.
Malik.
All right. I was but yeah, having that background, it helps you relate to the kids a lot. Like, I'll bring it back for a second. I'll bring it back to my time in Georgia when I was working as an athletic trainer. I had just come off of finishing my 4 years of college track then, so I could relate to the kids. A lot of the kids were three-sport athlete, football, basketball, track. So once track season came along, I'd even get out there and run with them some. And so, but I still had that joy and love of the sport as a 21-year-old athletic trainer. And so I loved being out there firsthand with them, going out, practicing, running with them, doing drills, hopping in every now and then. And but that's kind of the fun side of the job. When things get more serious, it's like, all right, I got to take the keys away from this drunk driver, It's that same sort of mindset. Kids coming in, even if it's something minor, hamstring, it's like, hey, if I keep you out 2 weeks, you'll be good for the rest of the season. If I throw you back in tonight, this is going to nag on for the rest of the season. And like I said, it gets more serious when you're dealing with things like concussions. Like, hey, I understand you want to be out there. When you're in high school, that football game is the most important thing in your life. It's what you've been working towards every day until that point. But you got to remind these kids you got an entire life after that. They don't see that because, again, you're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. They're not thinking about their brain health when they're 30, 40, 50, which a lot of these, which it's been shown, a lot of these concussions and even subconcussive forces, which I don't want to really get into, are shown to have massive effects on the kids' brain development and their future. And so I understand having been an athlete, there was nothing that could have kept me out if I wanted to be out there. I mean, I ran half my senior year with a stress fracture in my toe. I would wear a boot when it wasn't time to run. When it was time to run, took the boot off, took some ibuprofen, and we got to going. So I get it, but you gotta protect the athletes first.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'd like to take your question, Joey, and put it in the realm of resistance training. So being in the gym and working out. A lot of what I try to teach my clients is learn from my mistakes, right? So I made those mistakes early enough where I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Right? So I didn't know what I was doing. I made my mistakes, and now things just don't necessarily feel right. So I tell my clients, I made those mistakes so that you don't have to. You get to learn from my mistakes, and I get to teach you the right way to do it. Right? Yeah. So it's a sense of, well, you have that sense of authority where someone looks at you and they're like, oh, you've been there and you've done that. I can respect that you have hit those certain accolades. Like Malik has been there, done it. He ran at the collegiate level. So having some street cred as far as like, oh, you've been there, you've done it, you have earned my respect. I am more likely to listen to what you have to say now. Mm-hmm. So now when you have someone that's like, look, not only do I have the street cred, but I also have the education to back it up now as well. Mm-hmm. That's the perfect combination of, hey, let me set you up for success, learn from my mistakes, we'll set you up, do it right the first time, so that now you don't go down the same path that I went down that caused some injuries. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, for example, both my shoulders just absolutely...
I have a story about that, but continue, please.
Yeah, so just improper form and not having spotters, dropping the weight incorrectly, just torn labrum in both my shoulders. So now whenever I'm teaching someone the overhead press or any type of press, it is safety first.
Yes.
And it is something I stress so much because it is something that I personally went through, and I don't want any of my clients to go through that as well. So experience has a lot to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go ahead, Joey.
I remember, Malik, when Kenny really got me working out in college, I obviously did not know what I was doing.
So he's one to do that. He's one that got my little ass in the gym. I'm telling you. After track, I didn't know what I was doing. But go ahead.
I had no idea. And
look at you now.
I know, right? And so I'm literally doing like everything Kenny's doing, like the way he warms up, like what is he stretching? And Kenny would always like grab like these like 5-pound like little weights and like stretch his shoulder out in like weird ways. Like usually, you do like this and that, and I would do it too. And he's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I don't know. You're doing it." He's like, "Yeah, because my shoulders are just gone. You don't have to do it." I was like, "Oh," I was like, "I didn't know." You're like, it's because I blew my shoulders out years ago.
It's funny though. I mean, when you don't really know how to operate and manage in the gym, you're looking at the motherfucker that does know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, Joey, what is your experience in the gym? Tell me what that's been like.
Well, before we get into that very short history of Joey's gym,
this episode will be over if we talk about me.
No, but exactly to the point that you're saying, you being new to the gym and seeing someone do something that is just, they look in shape. Yeah. You're like, oh, they're in shape. I'm just going to start doing the same thing that you're doing. Yeah. That, in a nutshell, is social media.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You have people that are watching these super in shape influencers doing these ridiculous movements, and people are like, that's what I need to do to get in shape. Oh my gosh. No, just because it's right for someone else doesn't mean it's right for you. Especially if that person looks the way that they do, means that they spent years and years and years in the gym, or they did a little trend to get the way that they are right now, which means you as a newbie should not be doing something at the same level that this person's doing it.
No, it's just not necessary. I mean,
not necessary.
It's
incredible. But go ahead, Joey.
No,
tell us about your, your
all right, why don't you sit down,
escapades.
Pull up a chair. No, but
gather around, children.
Yeah. No, but like you two, growing up, I played all sports you could think of, right? Basketball, football, baseball. And so I never had a desire to be in the gym because I was already just in shape from just playing sports. Yeah. And then when I get to college, I'm very skinny, very slim, and I still don't feel like I need to work out. But Kenny's like, no, you should. He's like, you have the frame. You can put on muscle. And I was like, okay, sure. I was like, so we start working out.
It was actually annoying how fast you put on muscle.
Oh, it went straight to my arms. It was unbelievable.
It went straight to his arms. I was just like, all right, Joe, let's pump the brakes a little bit. I still need to be the bigger one here.
But I could start walking around on my hands. It was phenomenal. But speaking of, not rushing too fast and only doing what you're capable of and not what you're seeing other people do. I remember when, I started doing like squats with Kenny, right? And I remember like you would do maybe, I don't know, maybe it was your warm up, but for me it was a lot. And I was like, yeah. I was like, just keep the weight on. Let me do it really quick. So I go down, and as soon as I go down, I just hear like a little click in my knee. And I said, nope. And I throw it off, and I'm like, I'm going home. I'm not doing this again. And Kenny like turned around while I did. He's like, he's like, where are you going? What happened? And I was like, I just heard a click. I am not risking anything right now. I'm going to go home and call my mom and just let her know that I'm done.
To be fair, I do know a lot more than I did back then. When we first started training was when I was in engineering school.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So
the natural career progression.
Correct. Engineering, athletic training.
What president was
personal
in office?
Training?
What
business.
president was in office?
I believe it was Nixon.
Oh.
No, I don't know, dude.
Unbelievable.
Clinton? No.
Oh my God.
Let's see. That
had
had to have been 2012. So who was that? That was W?
No.
Or was that Obama?
That was Obama.
That was Obama.
He just got his second term.
That was before Barack got the salt and pepper in his hair.
That was young Barack.
Yeah.
Still
Young Barack.
Yeah.
Basketball Barack. Oh man.
When was it Young Jock that came out with "My President is Black, My Lambo is Blue"?
Man, shout out to Young Jock. He's driving Ubers
Was it
now,
Young Jock?
But we still respect
That
him.
was Young Jock.
I think so.
That was Young Jock. Yeah.
Young Jock is
was it
maybe
G?
in the club.
Yes.
It's going down.
If I was you, Ken, I would just say you threw out your shoulders doing that.
Song, oh God, they're gonna take my black card when they see this clip.
The white man's overbite.
Oh man, but
I promise I'm not that way.
No, it's so funny though. But wait, so Malik, so Kenny said
Can
earlier.
I also?
Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. No, I didn't hear you were talking. Go ahead.
No, because I was thinking like, all right, so Kenny said earlier that you're like trained in like the general populace. So
Yes.
like, so how do you approach that? Where like you could get someone like me who like, over 30 now, still doesn't really know what he's doing. And then you could get like a 60-year-old who maybe used to work out like crazy back in the day and now just trying to get back into it. How do you, like, as a professional, how do you jump from like person to person like that? Like, what's that like?
honestly, that's probably my favorite and the most stressful part of my
Yeah.
job is the shifting of gears that you have to do mentally. And it's kind of easy once you get in the routine, once you learn like all your clients' little bumps and bruises, what he likes, what he doesn't like, what she can do, what she can't do. But that first day, as Kenny will attest to, is a very, it can be trying, it can be a difficult process, but it's a very, very important process. But the most important thing to keep in mind is that these people are individuals and you might know what you're doing, but you have to learn your clients every single time. You can't skip any steps in the process. You can't assume that the exercise routine that worked for client A and B is going to work for client C. So you have to treat them as an individual and you cannot skip any steps in the process. So on that first day I'm meeting somebody, first thing I ask them, what brings you into the gym? What are our goals? What are we trying to accomplish? Because as you guys know, it's different. It's different for all three of us right now. You old fuckers are in your 30s. I'm not quite there, but I'm sneaking up. I'm creeping my ass in there. But it's different for all three of us. So it's for damn sure different for the people that I'm meeting. So I'm asking them, what are our goals? What are we trying to accomplish? And we'll go over some of that. I'll go over medical history, what's hurting you, because you can't skip that part either, because they might look young and healthy and spry and good to go, but they might be like, oh, also, I tore my Achilles last year. And if you skip that and you're like, all right, let's do some box jumps, and they pop their shit out the back of their leg, well, that's kind of your fault. So, I'm going over the medical history, going over the goals, and just taking on time with a physical assessment after I go through all the background information that we need, introduce myself, my credentials, and I take them through some pretty basic movement analysis type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This will be as close to like a cookie cutter assessment as I'll get, but even that, I tend to veer off when from person to person. So
Mm-hmm.
I like the functional movement screen. It's kind of a remix functional movement screen because that's trademarked and they're not paying me, and I'm not technically FMS certified, which they
No
like to
free
know.
ads here.
So it's kind of a remix functional movement screening, but I'm looking at kind of a squat assessment. I like to do a push and a pull in all four directions. So like a forward push, a row, a variation of an overhead if I don't feel that's going to be a problem with their medical history, and a pull down just so I can assess upper body movements, and I'll do some core strength analysis, whether that be a plank, modified sit up, modified plank. Um, even
How
just
long does
holding.
something like this take? Like if you're doing the assessment, like is this like a 2 hour thing where like block off your whole afternoon sort of thing?
Time is money in this industry, baby. And we're not trying to. I'm not trying to just. I'm
You
not
find
trying
a
to.
way to get efficient for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, we are not rushing anything because again, you don't want to miss any information. But I am not spending 2 hours with anybody. I'm sorry, unless you were paying for that much money, for that much time, then we can make it happen. But no, this is probably a 45-minute process.
Got it.
I get them
If
in.
I can kind of simplify a little bit what you're saying, because I don't want to have Joey get lost in the sauce.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
So with the functional movement screening, the whole basis of what they're trying to do is assess the way you're able to move functionally. So like Malik was saying, you're testing the squat, you're testing the lunge, you're testing functional movements, but then also you're testing the mobility of certain joints, and then you're testing the stability, right? So like your core, you're testing basically, are there any red flags before we're able to do some real movements with these individuals? Now, my philosophy is that your screening doesn't end once you're finished with the FMS, once you're finished with that functional movement screen. You are constantly screening the individual on day one of the workout, on day 100 of the workout. You're constantly taking in the data and seeing how you can progress that program next.
Cook.
So it's just it is just a constant flow of data collection and then program modification.
Yeah. Have you guys ever come across somebody where it seemed like it was one thing after another, where maybe their knee hurts, but also their elbows hurt, and you guys ever get a little stumped maybe where you're like, well, damn, like what can we do? Because I don't want to hurt you now, but like there's a lot of things going on. Have you guys ever been stumped maybe for a little bit on a client or two?
Yes. Oh boy. I can tell stories about plenty that I've had. Like that.
Yeah.
Some people that come in, they get to rolling off their medical history. I'm like, I don't think I'm what you need right now. You need a doctor.
Psychiatrist.
You don't. You need something beyond my scope right now, which is another huge, huge part of our job is knowing when something is beyond your scope. I mean, that is something any medical professional, fitness professional needs to acknowledge. When something or someone is outside of your scope and you cannot help them without causing more harm. First rule of medicine, do no further harm. So,
Thank you for saying that, Malik.
if you,
Thank you for saying that, because I've seen way too many situations where people step out of their scope of practice and they are handling situations that are above their pay grade.
yeah, yeah.
I've always said I am smart enough to know what I don't know.
Boom.
Refer out. Refer
Boom.
out.
Yeah.
Yes, if it's in question,
Stay in your lane.
stay in your lane. Okay. So that's the first thing, is knowing what you can and can't handle. But yes, there are people that come in with just a metric fuck ton of injuries, illnesses, and reasons why they would hinder their ability to work out. And I can tell you about this lady. Um, she had, on top of rheumatoid arthritis, she had fibromyalgia everywhere. I'm not even really sure what that is. There's doctors that'll tell me, I've talked to that are like, that's not really a thing. It's just like kind of something we tell people when they're in a lot of pain and we don't know what the fuck is going on. So,
I'm gonna start using that now.
yeah,
My,
yeah,
my sister says she has a headache. Might be fibromyalgia.
yeah, pretty much. Pretty
I'm
much.
actually very impressed you got that word right, Joey.
You know what?
That's fire.
Every now and then I'm all right.
But I mean, it felt like everything I did a best of a screening as I could do, but when I tell you everything hurt this woman. It hurt her to raise her hands above her head. It hurt her to squat more than 2 inches towards the ground. She
Wow.
couldn't hold herself up against a Smith machine. Like against that was about as high as a countertop of your kitchen. She couldn't do that. So I'm like, what can I do? And the bet I tried to put her on a few machines that were as safe and easy as possible, but even if she could do 10 reps at the lightest weight on this machine, by the end of it, she is screaming, ow, 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 ow. And I'm like, I'm over my head with this client. And in your head, you're like, and you know, as a personal trainer, it doesn't, she could come every day for the rest of her life. She's not going to get any better doing what we're doing. And it got to a point after a few weeks where I had to have that conversation with her. Like, I really don't think I can help you. And I even went as far as saying, listen, you paid for 8 sessions. We've trained 4 of them. I'll refund the other 4 that you didn't use my time for because this is beyond me. You need more help than what I can provide right now. And that
Wow.
that was hard. It was a tough pill to swallow. It wasn't that hard. She was kind of a bitch on top of being in a lot of pain. But it's always
So
in,
funny.
in her
We're just like,
defense.
wow, this poor woman, this and that. She's kind of a bitch.
In her defense, I'd be a little crabby too if I was in that much pain.
Fair.
But
Very
she was,
fair.
she was also rude. So I did. So I don't know if that contributed to me being like I can't do this anymore. But it was stress for me. It was stress for her. She didn't want to be there. I didn't want her in there. I couldn't help her. It was a perfect storm of shit that was just not going to get any better from continuing that situation. It was like a toxic, weird relationship. So, but yes, you sometimes as a trainer you have to swallow your pride and be like, hey, I can't help you, or there's someone that can better serve you.
Kenny, can you top that?
Absolutely. No, so I would actually like to spend a good amount of time addressing that question.
Cool.
Because there's so many ways to approach these clients. A lot of times when you have someone who let's take not Malik's situation where it sounds like a lot of it is psychological and also personality, but let's go ahead the other realm and talk about someone who can't physically do a lot of things. I am a big believer in like start with the very basics and then regression, right? Get them to a point where they're able to do something comfortably. If their range of motion is limited, work within the range of motion that they have, right? And then we can go ahead and start to do some mobility to increase that range of motion. And then every time that range of motion increases, we then go ahead and strengthen within that new range of motion. So it's going to be give and take. Unfortunately, a lot of times by the time those people come to you, they are much older and it is hard to make a lot of improvements the older that you get. But I never want to discourage anyone from saying it is too late to get started. It is never too late to get started.
Never.
One of my favorite clients. I don't like to choose favorites, but one of my favorite clients. I trained her for about 3 years. She was 73 when I finished training with her, and unfortunately I had to move. She came to me, no training experience. She spent 20 plus years as a teacher, and she told me that she wanted to finally start to take care of herself. Diagnosed with osteoporosis, was scared to fall. She had, I'm blanking on the word, but terrified of falling, right? So I tried to set her up in a position where it's like, okay, hey, let's go ahead and get into a kneeling position. Killed her knees. Okay, hey, let's go ahead and get into a standing position. We can't squat past this position. Okay, let's go ahead and line your back. We're going to line your back, and we're just going to go ahead and breathe. And as you breathe out, we're going to brace your core. Is that something that you could do? Yes. Do you feel it activating? Yes. Okay, hey, progress.
There you go.
Day one, right? Can we stand on 1 foot 10 seconds? Okay, perfect. Progress from, you found that foundation, progress from that point. By the time that we were done, she's able to do a single leg stance on an RX pad, which is like an unstable surface, for 2 minutes easily, right? Her osteoporosis was regressed to a osteopenia, so the bone density actually improved, which for those of you who don't know, weight training is the best thing for increasing that bone density.
Really?
So whenever I have...
Yeah.
So whenever I have an older population coming up to me is like, oh, I can't lift weights because I have osteoporosis. And it's like,
So that is why you should be lifting weights.
you should. Well, let me rephrase it. Maybe not lifting weights, but resistance training. So that can be body weight exercises, like,
Walking,
but getting moving and actually doing resistance training is going to be the best thing for building back that bone density.
Tricking them osteocytes, baby.
Dude, don't throw out big words in front of Joey. He gets scared.
Sorry.
You got me with the fibromyalgia. Now let's not go crazy.
I'm sorry.
And now he's just throwing that word out. That's his new favorite word.
I have fibromyalgia.
He's gonna walk in the office and be like, "How's your fibromyalgia doing, Becky?"
They're like, get out.
Who told you?
My name is Victoria.
Oh my goodness. Not to cut you off, Kenny, but that sounds like a really nice success story. Obviously, I mean, for both of you, obviously, you have tons of success stories. How gratifying is that when you're like 4 weeks after the fact and you're like, damn, like, are you kidding me? Like, look at where we're at right now. Like, how cool is that feeling?
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what. I've trained, just like Malik, a lot of general population. I've trained a lot of guys who they come in, they're like, dude, I just want to get fucking swole. and we get them there, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's awesome, man.
Fucking swole.
Like, congrats, like, hey, we got that. But when you work with a population who come in and they're just like, I want to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's so much more satisfaction when you know that you're changing the quality of living for someone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then there's so much more like loving, and it becomes so much more of a relationship when you know that you're bettering this person's life.
Absolutely.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
What about you, Malik? You got some success stories?
Absolutely. I'm just saying, those are the types of clients, if you're going to put it in the financial realm, that they are not leaving you. You are going to be there for life. As long as you are there, they are going to be coming back to see you. But I mean, those are the types of clients that they really bring like joy to your heart. I've got a client who, like Kenny said, she was younger. She was early to mid 30s when I first met her. She had just had her first child, actually, and she had some training experience, but not a ton previously. And then we had just come off COVID, so she had a pretty extended period of inactivity when I had met her. So she wasn't like she wasn't in any sort of dire straits as far as
She just wanted to get back a little bit.
well, when I tell you, I've been training with this. I guess I've trained with for almost 3 years now, or a little over 3 years. And she's about to do a half marathon in a couple weeks.
Wow.
And she and we are just friends now. I'm a friend that she pays. But
That's what Kenny had to do for me at first. It was the only way I could hang out with him.
Hey, man.
What, if you paid me?
No, you paid me. Clearly.
Okay.
Whatever it takes. I mean, whatever it takes. But no, I mean, those types of clients are incredibly, incredibly gratifying. It's part of the reason that it keeps you coming back to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we all do our job to make money and provide for our families, et cetera, et cetera. But the amount of joy that I get from really changing a person's life is something that not to be cliche, but you can't put a price tag on that.
Yeah.
1,000%. And like you can't put a price tag on that. But think about the medical bills that you are avoiding when you invest into yourself.
Absolutely. Amen.
Yeah.
Dang.
Absolutely.
Now, before we move on, I wanted to talk about another thing off that question, Joey. As far as like dealing with people that are complaining about everything.
Right here.
You're gonna have a good number of people that will try to find any excuse to not train, even if they have already paid for the session. It's just, you know what? What can I come up with to not train today?
Yeah.
So there are so many times when someone is just like, oh, you know what? I rolled my ankle. I'm not going to make it to our session today. And I'll be like, why? What's wrong with your upper body? Nothing.
You know what I
Okay,
mean?
cool. Come in and let's get some work done.
Yeah.
We're going to work on the things that we can work on. We can modify. And people don't want to hear that because a lot of people don't want to get the work done.
Yeah.
They want
But-
any reason to keep them out.
Correct. But even more so, when you have people that hurt themselves. Oh, you know what? I played soccer and I tweaked my knee. Awesome. Come into the gym.
Yeah.
And let's do some activity to fix that, especially just like Malik, with an athletic training background. You know what? We might be able to get that knee feeling better by the time you leave this gym.
Exactly.
So don't use that as an excuse to not come in. If you come in and I'm like, you know what? Let's not touch that knee at all because you're right, that is pretty messed up. But let's go ahead and strengthen the hip. Let's go ahead and work on the ankles. Let's strengthen everything around that knee so that that knee has the support that it needs to heal properly.
Exactly.
But people are so ready to just pull the trigger like, hey, no, I'm out.
Yeah.
You know what? I jammed my finger. I'm out. Cool.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and do some arm circles. Like, we'll figure something else out. But you can't stop moving.
Yeah.
It's like a great white shark, dude. You stop moving, you're done.
You're going to stop breathing. No.
Yeah, that's right.
It immediately. No, I'm kidding. But, I mean, Kenny, have you ever had to deal with the other end of the spectrum where you've got a client, we're like, you've been here for 3 hours. Go home. Go home. Like, you are getting dangerously close to that point of diminishing returns. Like, I've trained with you for 45 minutes. I told you go upstairs and do cardio and get the fuck out of my gym. And
What does that look like? What do diminishing returns look like? How can you tell when someone is just doing too much and they don't see it themselves, but you guys obviously do as professionals?
That is a tough term to objectively quantify.
Mm-hmm.
It is something you probably won't notice in a day. Well, you will notice it the next day when they come in to sort of work out with you. I got a 2 time a week client. We're supposed to train Monday and Wednesday, but you're too sore from Monday to even to do anything on Wednesday, and then we probably did a little bit too much. Um, but
Yeah, I
That's
think
my go-to excuse, by the way.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's you're not really going to be able to tell that within day one.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes not even within the first week.
yeah, 'cause
Usually,
it's so
you're gonna see like as the data comes back, where hey, you're working your ass off, and that weight's not coming off.
hmm
Hey, I know that you're on a strict meal plan, and things still aren't moving in the right direction.
hmm
Typically, when those people are just putting in too much work, typically you'll have like some hormonal issues that will trigger holding on to that fat.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes too much work can have the opposite effect.
hmm
Sometimes not eating enough food will have the opposite effect, where now your body's going into survival mode and it wants to store as much fat as possible and hold on to
Mm-hmm.
that fat.
hmm
So a lot of that is education. You have to be able to tell people, I'm sure you've heard it, like work smart, not hard. Um, but in this instance, you want to work smart and you want to work hard, right?
yeah,
So it's a lot of just gathering data, just
Yeah.
constantly gathering data. So if they are moving in the wrong direction after a month, that's why you want to have that data, because we're able to see, hey, are we doing the right things?
Mm-hmm.
So after a month, we see, hey, you know what? Body fat percentage has actually increased. What are we doing outside of the movement? And that's when
Wow.
we see nutrition. That's when we
What the
see
hell is going on?
regeneration. Exactly. So if someone is just like, you know what? I've worked out 3 hours a day, 7 days a week for the last month, then it's like, you know what? You're probably doing way too much.
yeah.
How long have you been doing that? I've been doing the same routine for the last 3 years.
Yikes.
Okay, so now your body is no longer adapting. You're
Mm-hmm.
just very efficient at doing the same thing over and over. Let's go ahead and change up the stimulus a little bit. Let's dial it back. Let's make these modifications as necessary.
hmm
So it's a very it depends type situation.
Yeah.
for sure.
Malik, do you often find that sometimes nutrition plays a big role into that? I mean, when you are having these assessments with your clients, are you talking with them about, what are you eating? How much are you eating? Are you giving them advice? Maybe eat more of this, eat less of that. How does that conversation go?
Yeah, and that's, I guess I didn't mention that in my initial detail of my assessment, but that is one of the first questions I'm going to ask. I get a broad sense of what are your nutritional habits? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a dietitian. I will never, I'm not going to sit here and be like, and make a meal plan for you. But
Yeah.
I am educated enough to say, hey, your diet of McDonald's and Whataburger 3 times a week is probably in, getting in the way of your goals. But that is that's a big hurdle I've had to work with a lot of clients with, and I've gotten pretty decent at giving nutritional guidance in a sense that because it's not always extreme. It's actually
Yeah.
very rare that I get somebody that's taking the time to invest in a personal trainer that's just like, oh, I love eating fast food 3 times a week. I think everybody knows that's not good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's those kind of the fine tuning that can get a little tricky with some clients. Like, hey, I've been coming in consistently 4 times a week. I'm working out, doing my cardio, still not seeing the results. What's going on? We get to I get to asking them, what have you been eating? And they're like, and it's tough when they think they're eating pretty well. And you have to be like, hey, I know you're
You actually
putting
suck.
but like, yeah, but there are some things that that you're probably not even noticing. Like I've got a client, she's having a hard time losing weight, but the issue is it isn't what she's doing most of the time. It's the sum of the times that's kind of adding up to impeding her goals. Because I'll ask
A
her
lot of
breakfast.
times, the sum of the time ends up being, oh, you know what? That is most of the time.
It is a lot more of the time than you realize of the time. So
Correct.
and it's like, yeah, I had a good breakfast. I had eggs, turkey, bacon, toast, da da da. I'm like, very good. What you had for lunch? I had a salad, I had some fruit, and I had a protein bar before I come in. Perfect, great. What's for dinner? We made steak with pasta and lobster, and I had ice cream after. I'm like, well, all right. Very hearty, but how often are you doing that? Pretty much every day. I'm like, well, you eat ice cream 7 days a week. That is, even if you're getting 300 calories a serving over 7 days, that's 2,100 calories that you don't really need, you know? So is that 3 times 7? Yeah. Fuck yeah.
I was about to say, I was like, oh, he's a mathematizer now.
And it's those little microtransactions that you don't realize are happening. It's like with your credit card. You're like, oh, I paid my bill at the beginning of the month. I'm good to go. Let me go on Amazon and buy this shit and buy this stupid shit. Or I'm gonna go to lunch here. I'm gonna go to lunch there. Get dinner here. Fuck the groceries I just bought. And
Yep.
you look at the end of the month, you're like, who the fuck spent $800 this month? And then you start looking at all those microtransactions. You're like, oh shit, that was me. That wasn't credit card fraud. I'm fucking up. And it's the same deal with your calories. It is, oh, I was good here. I've been good most of the week. Let me get a cookie here. Let me have this extra piece of candy for breakfast. Let me get some more of these fucking Hershey's Kisses right here that I'm keeping in this candy bowl next to me. I have 5 tonight. That doesn't fucking matter because they're this big, right? That doesn't fucking matter, right? Yeah, but if you are like
You have
me,
50 of them.
and you got 50 of them bitches, it just starts to add up. So those are the tricky little nuances with nutrition that I run into more often than not.
Yeah, I think that it's important to know. You were kind of alluding to this earlier. It's important to know that, like you said, you're not a dietitian, so you have to navigate those conversations very carefully. But it's also a lot of times it's just leading the horse to water, right? So a strategy that I like to use is having my clients create a food journal. If they're willing and able to do it, because a lot of times I tell people to do that and they're just like, yeah, you could take that journal and you can, you know. So, but it's taking the same strategy that Malik was saying, is you are literally just writing down everything that you're eating in a day. Do it for a week, maybe 2 if you're feeling ambitious, and you start to realize, you know what? I'm not eating as clean as I thought I was. Now, I'm not saying that someone needs to eat bland chicken and rice for every meal. Like, enjoy life, right?
I don't do
but also
Yeah.
have like a realistic idea of what you're actually consuming on a day to day. So when you come in to see me, you're not like, I've been eating so clean, like I don't understand why these numbers are saying the way that they're moving the way that they are. Okay, well it says here that you ate this. Oh, you know what? I'm not eating as clean as I thought I was. So it's just a little strategy to kind of like give them a little accountability and be like, you know what? Like looking in the mirror, it's not what I thought it was.
Yeah.
But I think it's very important, especially if you don't have that nutritional background, to not give direct recommendations as far as like, you need to be eating XYZ, you need to be eating like this because I eat like this. It's very easy to go off the wrong rail and send people down the wrong path. You can do very general guidance For me, before I became certified as a precision nutrition coach, I would just have a conversation with someone, say, hey, based off what you're telling me, I'm not going to recommend that you eat this many calories. I'm not going to recommend that you eat this. But I'm going to say, hey, maybe you can start keeping track of what you're eating. Maybe you can start taking pictures of the food and sending them to me. So I'm able to say, oh, hey, that looks like it's about 20 grams of protein. This looks like it's like I'm able to do those types of things. But I'm not going to be like, I need you to eat exactly this.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I wish you would have got certified before you made me eat all that cottage cheese in college, Kenny.
Guess what, baby? I'd still make you eat that cottage cheese.
Malik, for every day, every time we worked out, this kid's like, all right, let's go to the cafeteria and let's get like 2 pieces of chicken and cottage cheese. And I'm like, ugh.
Dude,
and then, before long, I kind of liked it.
I got the tail end of that. I've got the tail end of that, Kenny. So he was, we met in Georgia during grad school. Mm-hmm. And he's actually one that got me into the gym, like working out, learning how to do like the bodybuilding style of working out. I'm like, oh, this shit's pretty fucking cool. And but I remember this was one of the best periods of my life when I was from like 21 to 23-ish, 24-ish, when we would work during the week, slave all week at football practice or basketball practice, hanging out with these shitty ass teenagers. Saturday morning, we had to work at the clinic. And once we got done, we packed the car up and went straight from Georgia to Tallahassee just so we could be degenerates for the weekend. And I will never forget the times where we would go out on like Saturday night or Friday night sometimes if we had the day off, and be very unhealthy and bad and consume alcohol, as one does in their early 20s.
Shocker. And what?
You'd wake up the next morning. Again, when you're 21 and 22, your hangovers last 30 minutes.
Oh, so God, I miss those days.
You would get up, go to the cafeteria that was at the dorm that they used to work at. We would go sneak some food, and we'd just go to the gym and sweat it out, get drunk. Same day, do it all again.
That's living right there, folks.
Do it all again. But I remember even a little bit later after that time, Kenny and I were roommates, and I think I've seen him eat maybe 3 meals during that time. And it was always this rice and this chicken that he made in the same pan. And he'd make 10 pounds of it, and he would eat it all that day. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And he was good to go. He never
Kenny's probably as unseasoned as that chicken was.
That shit was fucking gourmet. Happy as a fucking clam eating that shit.
You know what? That's work-life balance right there, baby.
There you go.
You work your ass off during the week. When that weekend comes, drink that alcohol. Send it, dude.
Oh my goodness.
Send it.
So true.
But,
Malik, are you a big cook? You like cooking at home? Because I'm getting into it now a lot. Kenny's terrible, but what about you?
I'm a chef. I like to eat too much to have a bland diet. I actually just got done cooking some salmon with some like steamed vegetables and rice, so it was very light. But I love food. That's one of the few things I get not say a few things. I'm not depressed, but it's something.
One of the few joys I have left in life.
Everything else.
No. I get a ton of joy from cooking. That's kind of what brought like my family together. I would be watching mom chef it up. So whenever I get a taste for something that I used to eat growing up, I'd call mom. I'm like, hey, how'd you cook this? How'd you cook that? Like just last week, for the first time as an adult, I cooked a lasagna. And it was amazing.
Very impressive.
It was amazing. I had a great time. And
Are you Italian?
You can't tell? I have to say, Malik. I have to say, Kenny's not a bad chef but I just say that because one time when I went over his apartment, he made me oatmeal for breakfast, and I shit you not, it was the worst thing I've ever had in my entire life. It was one of those things where like you flip the bowl upside down and the shit doesn't drop. I was like, damn man, I thought we were friends.
I still make that same oatmeal every
Oh
morning.
my goodness. For the sake of your children, please don't feed them that.
It's kind of
It comes out the same way it goes in.
It's kind of fucked up, but I enjoy that dry ass oatmeal. I ain't gonna lie.
My god.
I don't like runny oatmeal. I don't want that. I don't want no wet ass oatmeal. I'm sorry. I get my nice. It's not dry, but it ain't sopping wet oatmeal.
It's got some texture. It's got
Texture.
got personality.
It's got
Texture. Kenny could have balled this thing up like it was a freaking meatball and thrown it in my mouth.
So, all right. In all seriousness, this is what I do now, and I recommend it to all of my clients that are looking to add another meal to their day, and they skip breakfast because it's just like, I don't have time.
Yeah.
An absolute life hack. Overnight oats. I'm telling you, it has changed my entire routine. You can mix up the measurements, but what I do is I take a cup of rolled oats, put it in Tupperware, and then
Overnight
I take
oats,
the
not
not a sponsor. No, Quaker Oats. Take a scoop of Quaker Oats, I put it in the Tupperware, and then I take a pre-made muscle milk, so like the carton of muscle milk, chocolate, strawberry, vanilla, you can mix it up. Pour it in there, mix it up, put it in the refrigerator overnight. It's ready to go in the morning. You eat it cold in the morning, right? So it takes 30 seconds to prepare, and it's ready to go in the morning. So my morning routine involves waking up he wakes me up, my 10-month-old son. We go through our morning routine, and as I'm feeding him, I'm scooping the overnight oats into my mouth. So it's just like there's no time to cook, but it's like, hey, we're going. And then it's just, you don't even think about it. You move on to the next thing. Yeah. So it's an absolute life hack. It is the easiest thing to do. We go to Walmart and just get like cartons of muscle milk and then just overnight oats.
About to have a buff-ass 10-month-old son.
Yeah, I accidentally feed him the wrong spoonful. He's already big, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you gonna say something, Malik? I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
No, I was just saying. I will have to try that because I've seen the protein oats thing, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I've tried dry protein powder in my oats, and it tastes. Now it might just be because they're because my oats don't have enough water. But even when I play with the ratio, I've used powder in the oats, and I'm like, this tastes like complete dog shit. I don't want to do this. I'll get protein somewhere else. But like, I'll see my social media influencers, and even some people I know in real life. They're like, I love protein oats. Yum 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 protein oats. And I'm like, this tastes like some bullshit. Fuck that. I'll just eat fucking turkey bacon. I don't give a shit. Like, no. So I will try the overnight oats. I'm trying.
The powder doesn't work. The powder doesn't work at all. So I'll if I'm cooking the oats in the morning, if I have a little extra time, I'll put like the casein. I'll put casein protein in there, and that will give it a little bit thicker texture, which I know Joey likes. But as thick. No, but life hack: pre-made carton of muscle milk, scoop of oats, Tupperware, mix it all together, refrigerator, overnight, ready to go in the morning.
Wow. So less. And you know, it's crazy. I've been in the fitness industry for 6 years now. Athletic trainer 2 years prior to that. I just got into meal prepping. this year or 2023. I just got serious about meal prepping, and I'm telling you, it has changed. It has opened up my whole world, and it's something I've known about. I've told clients to do, but I didn't fucking do it myself because I was just, making excuses. I'm not perfect. I'm human. Sue me.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, once I took that seriously, I mean, I stopped drinking as much as I could because my hangover started lasting too long. So between the meal prepping and cutting of the alcohol, my health has improved dramatically.
Your bank account's probably improved too.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, this economy, damn you, Biden. But yes, no, I'm saving. My credit card looks a lot better every single month. That's so yeah, it's little stuff like that. Kind of practicing what you preach is an amazing thing. It really is.
I think you keep sparking ideas in my head. I think you bring up such good points. I think you bring up such good points. What you're saying, as far as you've been in the industry for 6 years, athletic training 2 years prior to that, and it took you that long to get to actual meal prepping. Think about the average person that hasn't been involved with all of this, and you're just like, you should meal prep. Maybe they're not in the right place to be doing that right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What steps can you put into place to fix your life this much?
Yeah.
Start with that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We don't need to go ahead and start meal prepping. Like, what I do, I pay for someone to meal prep for me, and they deliver it straight to my door. Because you know what? I don't have the time. I don't want to take any effort to do that. I would rather spend the money to not have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that is something that I'm lucky enough that I can do. But it's like you have to find out, where do your priorities lie? And it's like, I need to eat right in order for me to function the way that I need to function, and I don't have the time to get it done. So I'm going to invest my money in this because I am investing that money in myself.
Yeah.
By personal training.
That's a great call. Well, it's pretty funny. Like, we're bringing it a little bit back to the personal training. I just wanted to ask Malik this specifically, but I guess both of you can answer it. For first timers, so like when I got back to New York and I joined my gym, when you sign up, they gave you like one free training session with a trainer there if you want it. Obviously, I didn't do it just because I don't like people telling me what to do, but not unless they're Kenny. But even then, it's a struggle. But for a first timer like me who is considering working with a personal trainer, what are some things that like I should look out for in the trainer themselves, so I know that they know what they're doing and they're leading me down the right path? Are there any qualities or qualifications that would make the average person feel comfortable with this trainer? Can you think of any?
Well, that is not something you could really assess at the surface level very well, because Kenny will know. He and I both have 2 degrees in exercise. And you do not really need that to be a good personal trainer. It sure does help give you street cred, but and having education does help. It really does help. But I say that just to say it does get hard to pick out who's going to be good, who's going to be not so good in this industry. Now, if you're a member of this gym and you're thinking about personal training, I advise you to watch what you see the trainers doing with their clients.
Yeah, because I see them when I'm working out. They're working with someone else, and I always like when I'm in between sets, I'll just like kind of watch them and like try to figure out what they're doing. Obviously, I don't know, but yeah, I see them, so that's why I'm curious about it.
If it looks crazy, it's probably crazy. So if that looks like, man, they're going to get themselves hurt, or that just doesn't look like something you feel comfortable doing, then that should be enough to tell. And you see that person doing that with every one of their clients. Like all their clients are doing backflips on a Bosu ball with dumbbells in their hands. I don't want to do that. Then you need to be aware of that. Now, I'm not saying that, and everybody's got their style. I'm not saying if you prefer doing more weight training versus functional training versus cardiovascular, doesn't matter what you are into. So I advise you to keep an eye on the trainers, make sure that they're training in the style that you want to work in. And when you meet with them, how are they paying attention to you? Do you feel heard during that session, or do you feel like they are trying to sell you something? Because we are fitness professionals. We are trying to be paid for our services, but it needs to come from a place of helping. And so if you got this person that you don't feel like they're listening to you, they're just like, yeah, they're just in a rush to present prices to you. They're in a rush to get you in and out of the door. That's a red flag that they probably don't have your best interest at heart.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think, once again, a lot of good points, Malik. I think it is so hard to find someone just through observation because, I mean, my old way of thinking about it is, well, if I want to get big, I need to work with someone that's big.
Yeah.
Not always the case. It's not always so cut and dry.
Not the case, yeah.
But one thing that I would recommend that you do, Joey, is go up, when they're not in a session, go up and talk to the trainers and ask them for advice or ask them how to do a certain thing, or be like, hey, do you mind if you can show me this movement real quick? And watch the way that they respond to you. If they don't give you the time of day, then they probably won't give you the time of day in the session as well, right? So whenever people came up to me on the floor, as long as I wasn't in the middle of a session or in the 3 minutes transitioning from one client to the next, if someone came up to me and asked me a question, I would make sure that I did whatever I could to answer that question to the best of my ability. If you ever have someone that's like, oh, if you want to know more about this, then pay for one of my sessions, don't waste your time with that person.
Yeah.
I have the amount of knowledge that I can share with you is unlimited. Now, you being able to take that knowledge and effectively apply it may not be perfect, which is why my position exists. But that knowledge is free. I should never charge for my information, right? Now, the reason that I get paid what I do is because now I can take my knowledge and apply it to you, specific to your needs in that given situation, right? So never be stingy with your knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's my advice to all trainers out there. Never be stingy with your knowledge, because with your coworkers, with anyone coming up to you, because like anything can be a sale, right? Anything can be a sale, but you have to show that you are genuine. You have to show that you know your stuff, but you can't be all about the money.
Yeah.
You have to be about the people, because it is personal training, right? So at the end of the day, it gets personal.
Yeah.
So you want to work with someone that you wouldn't mind having a drink with.
Man. Hooey. Right off into
that in
the
your pipe
sunset
and
with
smoke
that. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Amen, brother.
That was awesome.
Yeah, man. But yeah, we're about that money though. You know what I'm saying? We about that money. So if you got somebody, you ask me 30 questions, I'm like, yo, you need a lot of help. You know what I'm saying?
First one's for free.
It sounds like you need an hour of my time. No, I have gotten clients specifically because I was not stingy with my time and information.
Absolutely.
Right? As long as you are not being disrespectful of my time. If you're coming up to me in passing and being like, hey, you know what? I was working on this. Do you mind if you check my form real quick? Yeah, as long as I'm not like, if I didn't just finish 5 sessions and I'm starving, like, hey, let me grab some food. If you're gonna be here in 15 minutes, I'll come back out and talk to you. Mm-hmm. But I've had clients that ended up becoming my clients because of the amount of time and attention that I put into them before they were even my client. Yeah. And they were like, you know what? The reason I chose you, I've been at this gym for the last 3 years and I've never worked with a trainer. The reason I chose you is because you are not stingy with your time. You always took the time to see how I was doing, to make sure I had everything that I needed. So people really pay attention to that stuff, and that makes a big difference in the end.
Always people watching you. That's what I remind my young trainers that come into the gym. I say my young trainers because I'm a manager now. So I've become.
I thought you were gonna say because I'm a man.
Because I'm a man. It's weird. When I first started working at the gym I work at now, I was the young guy, and now I've become the elder statesman in 4 very short years.
Welcome. Welcome on behalf of the 30-year-olds.
Hey, yo, I'm knocking on the door, man. I'm knocking on the door. That's what I tell my the young trainers that what do I tell them? Fuck, I done fucking forgot.
But I mean, in order to climb the ladder that fast, it's like you have to get the respect that you deserve, right? Yeah. Because you didn't get into that position by just kind of pussyfooting around. It's you did everything that you were supposed to do and you worked your way up.
Yeah, and you got busy, and that was the point I was going to make. People are always watching you. Mm-hmm. People are always watching you, whether it be your coworkers, your boss, the members of the gym. People are always watching you. So if you're sitting at the trainer's desk, bored out of your mind, twiddling your thumbs, not doing shit all day, they're going to think that person is lazy. They don't have anything to do. They have no clients. Nobody wants to train with them. I don't want to train with them. Whereas if they see you busy engaging with members, helping people, in your sessions, you're engaged, your clients are having a good time, you're smiling, they're smiling, that's something we gravitate towards as people. And people are going to gravitate towards you if they see that. So I have to remind my trainers, people can see you. So if you're being lazy and not doing anything or not looking helpful or not being helpful, then that is the reputation you are going to have.
Every breath you take, every move you make,
damn,
I'll be watching
you. That's where the screen cuts to black and the credits start rolling.
Just Malik has a single tear dripping down his face.
Man, what a way to end that question.
What a wonderful world.
Man.
Man.
That was a good one, boys.
Do you feel enlightened, Joey? Do you feel enlightened?
What did you say?
Third eye is wide open.
You feel enlightened? Yeah. Third eye wide open, dog.
Oh my god.
Who's saying that, man?
What you got for us, Joey?
I mean, that was honestly the last real question I had for Malik. You know, as someone that works with the general populace, just because, you know, Kenny, you're not in New York anymore, so I need because if I don't have someone just in my ear telling me like I'm doing that wrong, then I feel like I'm not going to be productive. But
well, here's what you can do. You can buy a program from Spy Fitness at spy-fitness.com. Your boy will set you up.
Oh my goodness.
I'm serious, Joey. I used a month of his program, and it felt amazing.
Wow.
It was truly,
I feel like D-Wade and I just threw you an alley-oop and you're LeBron.
Absolutely not, dude. Spy Fitness, good shit, man. And again, I am a fitness professional with 2 degrees in exercise, and I humbled myself to allow myself to be trained by another fitness professional because I caught myself being stuck in the rut of my own comfort zone, my own training. Kenny's like, fuck that, do something else. And I'm like, bet. Yeah. So I did something else, and look at me now. I grew 6 inches. My balls are dragging to the floor. It's fucking amazing.
Wow.
That's not from my program, I promise. That's the HGH.
We cannot guarantee any height and testicle.
No, we cannot. We
Not the
cannot.
training? Was that not from the training? Oh my god.
No.
Oh my goodness.
But no, it was great. It was very refreshing. It was beneficial. I felt myself getting stronger. It was great, and it was the kick in the pants I needed. And so, if I don't know where you're at in your fitness journey, Joey, whether you're getting back into it, thinking about doing it, pussyfooting, but hit them up.
Yeah.
I think that's the great thing about an individualized program like that is you can have all walks of life come into that situation and you're going to get something specific to you. Mm-hmm. So you can have someone who's been in the industry for 6+ years and it's like, you know what? I've plateaued and I just don't feel like programming for myself because that's what I do all day, every day, and I'm sick of it. Well, you know what? I can write a program for you and you're going to have a good ass time. Or you have someone that's like, you know what? I live in New York and I am scared of the world and I don't go out.
Hold on now. I didn't say all that.
And I finally crawled out of my shell to go into the gym again and I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. I got a program for that.
Wow.
Just come on in, baby.
I'm telling you, man, it's that gear shift.
The water's fine.
Man.
Well, there you go, folks. You heard it from the man himself.
Come see him, man. Come see him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Is this one of the songs?
Yeah, dude. Did you not get the script?
What did they sing on Blue's Clues? Now it's time for so long. Do 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 do. But we'll sing just one more song. Do 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 do. Thanks for doing your part. You sure are smart. Thanks to me and you and my dog Blue, we can do anything that we wanna do.
Wow.
Yes. Clip it. End it there. Malik,
how long are you
thank
sitting
you.
on that?
Malik, thank you for coming. Thank you for being you. I miss you. And I love you.
Love you.
Thank you so
love
much,
you,
Malik.
Kenny. Love you, Joey. This was awesome. Thanks for having me, you guys. This was great.
Wow.
Stay tuned for next episode of Between Sets and Snacks. Out.
Peace.
Or not.
Was that